So we are reading from the Bhagavad-gītā as it is, 3rd chapter, text number 14. Okay, so there's no Bhagavad-gītā available, or everyone has Bhagavad-gītā? Oh, it's on the screen, okay, fine. Annād bhavanti bhūtāni parjanyād anna-sambhavaḥ yajñād bhavati parjanyo yajña karma-samudbhavaḥ annād from grains, bhavanti grow, bhūtāni the material bodies, parjanyād from rains, anna of food grains, sambhavaḥ production, yajñād from the performance of sacrifice, bhavati becomes possible, parjanyo rain, yajña performance of yajña, karma prescribed duties, samudbhava born of. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Śrīla Baladeva Vidyābhūṣaṇa Śrīla Prabhupada. Śrīla Prabhupada ki. Translation. All living bodies subsist on food grains which are produced from rains. Rains are produced by performance of yajña, sacrifice, and yajña is born of prescribed duties. Purport. Śrīla Baladeva Vidyābhūṣaṇa, a great commentator on the Bhagavad-gītā, writes as follows. Ye indrādy-aṅgatayāvasthitaṁ yajñam sarvesham Viṣṇu abhyarcha tac-cheṣam ashnanti tena tat deha-yātrāṁ sampadayanti te santa sareshwarasya yajña-puruṣasya bhaktaha sarva-kilbiṣair anādi-kāla-vivṛddhair ātmānubhava-pratibandhakair nikilai papai vimucchante. The Supreme Lord, who is known as the yajña-puruṣa, or the personal beneficiary of all sacrifice, is the master of all the demigods, who serve him as the different limbs of the body serve the whole. Demigods like Indra, Candra and Varuṇa are appointed officials who manage material affairs. And the Vedas direct sacrifices to satisfy these demigods so that they may be pleased to supply air, light and water sufficiently to produce food grains. When Lord Kṛṣṇa is worshipped, the demigods or different limbs of the Lord are also automatically worshipped. Therefore, there is no separate need to worship the demigods. For this reason, the devotees of the Lord who are in Krishna consciousness offer food to Kṛṣṇa and then eat, a process which nourishes the body spiritually. By such action, not only are past sinful reactions in the body vanquished, but the body becomes immunized to all contamination of material nature. When there is an epidemic disease, an antiseptic vaccine protects a person from the attack such of an epidemic. Similarly, food offered to Lord Viṣṇu and then taken by us makes us sufficiently resistant to material affection, and one who is accustomed to this practice is called a devotee of the Lord. Therefore, a person in Krishna consciousness who eats only food offered to Kṛṣṇa can counteract all reactions of past material infections, which are impediments to the progress of self-realization. On the other hand, one who does not do so continues to increase the volume of sinful action, and this prepares the next body to resemble hogs and dogs, to suffer the resultant reactions of all sins. The material world is full of contaminations, and one who is immunized by accepting prasadam of the Lord, food offered to Lord Viṣṇu, is saved from the attack. Whereas one who does not do so becomes subjected to contamination. Food, grains or vegetables are factually eatables. The human being eats different kinds of food, grains, vegetables, fruits, etc. And the animals eat the refuse of the food, grains and vegetables, grass, plants, etc. Human beings who are accustomed to eating meat and fish, meat and flesh, must also depend on the production of vegetation in order to eat the animals. Therefore, ultimately, we have to depend on the production of the field and not on the production of big factories. The field production is due to sufficient rain from the sky, and such rains are controlled by demigods like Indra, sun, moon, etc., and they are all servants of the Lord. The Lord can be satisfied by sacrifices. Therefore, one who cannot perform them will find himself in scarcity. That is the law of nature. Yajña specifically, the Sankirtan Yajña prescribed for this age must therefore be performed to save us at least from scarcity of food supply. Om Ajñānati Nirandasya Jnananjana Sadakaya Chakasodan Militam Niram Tasmai Śrī Gurave Namah. Śrī Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhūtale Sayam Rupa Ramayam Dadati Sapadantikam Vandeham Śrī Guru Śrī Uttapadakamalam Śrī Gurun Vaishnavamscha Śrīrupam Sagradatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitantam Sarivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parjana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Śrī Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Śrī Vijaganvidamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dīnabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Govigaganta Radha Kanta Namastude Tatta Ganjana Gaudangi Radhe Vrindavaneshari Prijavano Sude Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Paditanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Annād bhavanti bhūtāni parjanyad anna-sambhavaḥ. Yajñād bhavati parjanyo yajña karma-samudbhavaḥ. All living bodies subsist on food grains which are produced from rains. Rains are produced by performance of yajña, and yajña is born of prescribed duties. So this is an important verse, and Prabhupada nicely elaborating on this verse. So explaining that we have to perform yajña, sacrifice, and satisfy yajña-puruṣa, the beneficiary of the yajña, Viṣṇu. So that is ultimately Viṣṇu or Kṛṣṇa. So mostly yajña, when we speak of yajña, that refers to fire sacrifice. And previously great fire sacrifices were performed for the pleasure of Viṣṇu, but then also for the pleasure of the demigods, but primarily for Viṣṇu. And then as a result, as explained here also, when yajña is performed, then and there will be rain. So because the Lord is satisfied, and then demigods are also satisfied, because they will also get a share. And they supply to the necessities. They supply whatever we need. But ultimately, it is Kṛṣṇa who is supplying everything. And the demigods are simply agents of Kṛṣṇa. They are servants of Kṛṣṇa. And so if Kṛṣṇa is satisfied, Kṛṣṇa tustam jagat tustam, if Kṛṣṇa is satisfied, then the whole world will be satisfied. At least those who are worshipping Kṛṣṇa, who are satisfying Kṛṣṇa, and those who accept Kṛṣṇa as the Supreme Lord, they will be satisfied. And there will be general prosperity. Unless, of course, one is sinful, and then you will be deprived of good results. So as mentioned in this verse, anna bhavanti bhūtāni. All the human beings, they actually subsist on food grains. For example, rice, and of course in Bengal or in South India, the staple food that is rice. They will take rice morning, noon and evening. Other places in northern India, they may have more chapatis or parathas, puri, especially when it's cold in the winter. So that will give the strength. At the same time, also vegetables are required, fruit are required, and also milk from the cow. So when Kṛṣṇa is satisfied, then, and we follow according, we follow the laws of the Supreme Lord, given in the scriptures, presented by the Spirit Master, then we can be assured that whatever we need, we will receive. And so as explained here, in the purport by Prabhupada, that the demigods are there, and the demigod of rain, or there is Indra, or the sun god is there, the moon god is there, the wind god is there. So if Kṛṣṇa is satisfied, then they will be satisfied also, and they will supply. And they will supply actually whatever is needed, and also at the proper time. Whereas if people are sinful, they don't obey the laws of God, then there will be some difficulty. Then there will be maybe sometimes too much rain, or not enough rain, and different difficulties may be there. But if one is worshipping Kṛṣṇa, then the demigods are satisfied and everything is quite in order. Of course, now in the age of Kali these days, because the majority of the people are not God conscious, so therefore there are more difficulties. But the devotees who depend on Kṛṣṇa, who are serving Kṛṣṇa, despite the environment not being maybe so conducive, despite the majority of the people not being God conscious, not being pious, but still the devotees will be protected by Kṛṣṇa, and they will get whatever they need. But difficulties will be there also for the devotees. But by the mercy of the Lord, they are protected, and by the mercy of the Lord, they can tolerate the difficulties. especially in the age of Kali. But any time in the material world, difficulties will be there. But more so in the age of Kali. So one was taking birth, janma. For him, death is certain. So that Krishna is explaining also in the Bhagavad-gītā. So taking birth is not very pleasurable, both for the mother and the child. So the mother has to carry the child for 9 months, some difficulties are there, and the child also is just in the womb and cannot move around much. And then also if the mother is eating too many spicy things, that will affect the child, and even sometimes some wounds are there in the womb and they're biting. The child is completely helpless, and through a pipe it is being nourished, umbilical cord is there, and so some nourishment will be given. And but it is not very comfortable, it's a very uncomfortable situation. And then time of birth also, so with great difficulty. So there's labor pain for the mother, and the child has to come out, so which is also full of pain. And then usually the child is crying because of so much pain. And even when the child is not crying, usually the doctor is slapping the child a few times so that it will cry and it will breathe. So difficulties are there in life, unavoidable. And as one is living in this world, diseases are there. So constantly some difficulties there. And then old age. Of course, if one is young, one cannot really imagine what is old age like, but if one is getting older, then one can feel the pain and the difficulty of old age. So, but if Krishna is in the center and one is trained, and usually right from childhood one has to be trained by the parents to engage in Krishna consciousness, in the service of the Lord, and then one will get the strength to tolerate the difficulties, and then one will get some pleasure by serving Krishna, by serving the Supreme Lord through the via media of the Spirit Master. And then because of this pleasure also, then one will also be enthusiastic to continue despite the difficulties which are always coming. And then one will get realization of the subject matter, and that will give more strength, more determination to continue. And then whatever, so as explained here, so we will require food grains, so that we will get by the arrangement of the Lord. That is also mentioned in the scriptures, that whatever you're supposed to get, that we will get, according to our past activities also. So if one has been very pious in the last lifetime, then one will be in a better situation, and more easily one will get one requires, and one will be more peaceful. If one has been sinful in the previous life, then there will be more difficulty. But if one is surrendered to Krishna, even if in the previous life one has been sinful, one becomes purified, one becomes free from all contamination, and then one can also enjoy a wonderful life in Krishna consciousness, being happy, happily engaged, and then all the necessities are supplied by Krishna. In the 9th chapter also Krishna has explained that ananya-sambhavaḥ tamam yajña-puruṣa tac-cheṣam nityabhyoktanam yoga kshamam vahami. Those who are constantly engaged in devotional service, so with love, to them I give what they lack and preserve what they have. So Krishna personally will take care of his devotees. Or sometimes through his devotees he will help the devotees. So in this way, so in every way, spiritually speaking, Krishna will keep us happily engaged in Krishna consciousness, He will help us overcome the difficulties, and whatever we need to maintain the body and soul together, that will be supplied also. Not only food grains, but we need vegetable fruits, we need clothing, we need a place to live. So when we surrender to Krishna, Krishna will supply everything. But we have to surrender, we have to serve Krishna voluntarily and with love and devotion. Although there may be difficulty, even in execution of our activities, difficulties will be there, but by Krishna's mercy, so we can remain peaceful even amongst the greatest difficulties of this material world. So Krishna is very kind to his devotees. So therefore they are saying, devotees are saying, Krishna mata Krishna pita Krishna pranada. Krishna is just like a father or a mother, even more than a father and a mother. Is the Lord of the life of the devotees. Just like a child, he doesn't even have to think. Usually small children, they simply want to play. And they're not caring about what to eat, when to eat, what to wear, what dress to wear. They just want to play. But the parents, they're giving without the child asking something to eat. Of course, sometimes they want some ice cream or chocolate or whatever, some sweets. And then the parents, they will usually give to the small child. But whatever is required, what is good for the child, so the parents, they will give, especially the mother will take care. And then the clothing will be there, and then he's sent to school also. So parents are making all arrangements. But ultimately, Krishna is making all arrangements. So if one has been pious in the last lifetime, then one will be able to take birth in a family of pious persons, in a family of devotees. So that is by Krishna's arrangement. If one is not so pious, not devoted to the Lord, then he will not take birth in a devotee family usually. So ultimately Krishna is providing for everything. Krishna is helping us in our Krishna consciousness and to fulfilling all our needs in every way. So therefore, and because it is the constitutional position of the living entity to serve Krishna, Jivara Sopoy Krishna Nityadas, that is the constitutional position, that is the natural tendency of the Jiva is to serve Krishna. In a liberated state, everyone is serving Krishna. That is the natural position in the spiritual world. Everyone is serving Krishna. There is nothing else except service to Krishna. Whereas in the material world, in the conditioned state, so the modes of material nature are there, the external energy is there, and so the unfortunate jiva is then engaged in material activities. But Krishna himself, so he has come, he has given the Bhagavad-gītā for our benefit, and through his devotees also is helping the devotees or the conditioned soul to accept Krishna consciousness, to engage in Krishna consciousness, and helping so the practicing devotee to make more and more advancement so that they can become perfect and realize their spiritual nature as eternal servants of Krishna. So it is a gradual process, and but if we simply follow the guidelines given by Krishna himself, and then especially also presented by the Spirit Master, because many times we may not understand what Krishna wants to say, as in the Bhagavad-gītā. So we need a purport, or even Krishna is in our heart. But only if one is pure, one can hear Krishna, one can see Krishna in the heart. So as long as one is conditioned, one needs the guidance, the help of the Spirit Master, who is the representative of Krishna, who has seen Krishna, who knows Krishna. And then he will guide us, he will help us, so that we are properly situated, so that we are following the rules and regulations given by Krishna himself, explained in the scriptures. And then he will also tell us about Krishna, about the wonderful pastimes of Krishna, as are also given in the Śrīla Bhagavatam, and also presented by the associates of, especially Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu is a Kali Yuga avatar. He's not different from Radha Krishna. And he has introduced the Sankirtan Yajña. So the congregational chanting of the holy name, Sankirtan, which is the sacrifice in the age of Kali. Of course, even if we do sacrifices, also fire sacrifice, like for initiation, for marriage, entering a new house, that is also required. But everything has to be accompanied by the chanting of the holy names, the Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So specifically it is mentioned throughout the Vedic literatures or the literatures given by the representative of the Lord, especially in the age of Kali, by the associates of Mahaprabhu, and they have emphasized the chanting of the holy names. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself is the inaugurator of the Sankirtan movement, and although he is the Supreme Lord, but he came as a devotee, showing us how to chant the holy names, how to worship Krishna, in which mood also. And then by chanting the holy names, then Mahaprabhu is satisfied, Krishna is satisfied, and then all the demigods will be satisfied too. And simply by chanting the holy names, we can get all perfection. And whatever is required, that we will receive, because Krishna Nama are different. Nama Chittamani Krishna Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Purna Shuddha Nidamukto Abhinatvam Nama Naminaha. So Krishna's name are not different. So by chanting the holy names, then we are associating with Krishna and we are pleasing Krishna also. But of course the proper mood has to be there, the proper consciousness has to be there while chanting the holy names, but even throughout the day. We must have proper consciousness. We should act for the benefit of Krishna, for Krishna's pleasure, and we should try to be helpful. We should try to serve other Vaishnavas, we should try to help other Vaishnavas, other conditioned souls, so they may also come to Krishna consciousness. And then in this way, and then by hearing about Krishna or about Mahaprabhu, then while chanting we may sometimes remember Mahaprabhu, we may remember Krishna, and then ultimately we can realize. First we chant the holy names, Nam, Krishna Nam, then the Nama Roop, then the form will be revealed of Krishna. So Krishna Nama are no different. In the beginning we cannot see Krishna when we are chanting Krishna's name. But in purified consciousness, when we are chanting the Maha Mantra, we can see Krishna. And then after that Gun, then we can see Krishna's wonderful qualities. So Roop, his beauty is there, his transcendental form, and then his loving exchange with his devotees, and his being magnanimous, he's merciful, he's kind. So many wonderful qualities are there of Krishna. He's the ocean of all good qualities. And so by hearing about Krishna and his wonderful qualities, then while chanting, we may recollect what we have heard, what we have read. And then we can chant the holy names with some ruchi, with some taste, with some priti, with some love, and then there will be more exchange with Krishna when we see the presence of Krishna, when we feel the presence of Krishna. And ultimately in the perfect stage, we can recollect the pastimes of Krishna, we can remember the pastimes of Krishna. So we have to be properly engaged, and hearing especially about Krishna or Mahaprabhu, then we can remember, and then we can nicely engage in spiritual activities. And then we can progress further and further and come to the perfectional stage. And then automatically whatever is needed, so that will be supplied. So the great devotees and Mahaprabhu himself never cared for what to eat and when to eat, but by his own potency and energy, then everything was supplied, and similarly pure devotees also. But still some endeavor is there, even for the pure devotees, and shown by Mahaprabhu, to follow the rules and regulations, to be regulated in one's activities. That has to be there. Yad-yad-acharati sheshtas tatta devatarajana saya paramam kurute lokastatanavattate. In a few verses after this, in text number 21 in this chapter, Krishna has explained to Arjuna, so that even the great souls who are fully engaged in devotional service, they will also follow the rules and regulations, just to set the example for the common man, so that they may also follow. So therefore they are also following. Although their love, their relationship with Krishna is established, and therefore whatever they need is supplied without any endeavor. And they may not have to follow the rules and regulations because they are established in their relationship, but still, for the benefit of the conditioned souls, they will follow the rules and regulations to set the example for the common man, so they may also follow. Because as explained there, and Krishna is saying, whatever the great man is doing, the common man are following. And that is natural phenomena. And we can see in the material world also. Even sometimes materialistic person, when they are famous, then the common man will try to imitate them also, or follow them, but there's not much benefit of that. So therefore, even the Lord himself, or the pure devotees, and they are following the regulative principles, and they are setting the example for the common man, so they may also follow. They may also adopt the principles of devotional service, and so they may then engage in devotional service, and so then they may get the benefit and advance more and more in Krishna consciousness. So yajña, so that has to be performed. So in previous yugas, 5 sacrifices were performed, and in this age, the main yajña sacrifice, that is chanting the holy names. So yajña also means, so as the word says, as we say sacrifice, that it means we have to endeavor to a greater extent, tolerating all difficulties. Nama yajña mahayajña. So even it is explained, even for the chanting of the holy names, although it is easy to chant the holy names, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. It is not difficult from one point of view. Simply one has to vibrate the tongue, and then one has to hear. But at the same time, so the mind has to be controlled somewhat, or at least one has to try to control the mind, and wants to pray to Krishna so that we can control the mind. Then there will be full benefit. But if the mind is going here and there, then there will be not full benefit. So sometimes to control the mind, it is a great sacrifice also. When one is chanting, I think most of you, or all of you have experience while chanting, one is chanting, trying to concentrate, but the mind wants to go here and there, rather than thinking about Krishna. So it is a kind of sacrifice also. But also ma-yajña, that means in the age of Kali, there's so much benefit of chanting the holy names, individually and collectively. So for our benefit, it is for our benefit if we chant the holy names. But it should be there for the pleasure of the Lord. Nama yajña mahayajña, kalma-shanāsanam. And then by chanting the holy names, by endeavoring nicely, then the impurities, kalmash. So from being in the age of Kali, due to associating with the modes of material nature, so that it will be destroyed, nashanam. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Priti Arte, Nama Yajña Samarpanam. So we should chant, and then we should offer that to Krishna. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Priti with love. We should offer that to Krishna, to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then there will be reciprocation there. and then we'll be satisfied, and then we'll be able to advance in our spiritual life, and whatever is required, that will be supplied. So one time there was one Brahmana. He saw that verse of the Bhagavad-gītā. I recited that. Ananya-sambhavaḥ tumam yajña-puruṣasya tac-cheṣam yoga-kṣemam vahāmiyaham. So he was thinking, how this is possible that Krishna himself, vahāmiyaham, means I carry myself, I give that myself. He was thinking, how this is possible that Krishna will give whatever I need, that he himself will give. So then he was crossing and he wanted to correct and saying that it is caused by Krishna to come. So Krishna will arrange through his agents, through some modality, to somehow or other, but he will not directly give. So he was crossing this line, Vahamyaham, I directly gave 2 times. And then he was going to take his bath in the river nearby, and he told his wife, I'm going to take bath nearby, in the nearby river, as he was doing daily in the river, and then I will try to collect something also. She was telling him also, we have hardly anything at home to eat. We need some vegetables and some grains we need. So please, you have to arrange something. So Brahmanas, they used to beg also. Of course, they were doing yajñas, so they were teaching the scriptures, so then they were getting some remuneration, but sometimes they have a little less. So she was telling him, we should try to beg something, we need something. So he was going to take his bath, and in the meantime, 2 boys came to the house of the wife of the Brahmana, and they were carrying 2 big bags with great difficulty, and he put it there. And she was saying, oh, who are you? Oh, well, we are just 2 boys from nearby, and so your husband actually, he told us to bring these things home. And actually, your husband also beat me. And he was showing in his bag, and there were 2 lines there in the bag. What? Why? He's beating you. Oh, because I was not ready to carry. Oh, this is not nice at all. So then they put it down, and she gave them something to eat. She had something. The devotees usually always have Mahaprasad. And then they left. And then when the Brahmana came back, so she was scolding her husband, what are you doing? And he's saying, what do you mean? You sent these 2 boys and you beat one of the 2 boys also? There are 2 lines on his back with a strap, you beat him also? And then he's saying, no, I didn't do anything. And who are these 2 boys? I don't know any 2 boys. And she was saying, yes, one was a little darker in complexion and one was fair in complexion. And then realized this must have been Krishna and Balaram. And then he was, tears were coming from his eyes, and then he told his wife that he actually crossed Vahamyaham, and then he realized that actually Krishna personally will take care and bring something to his devotees. So we should have faith that Krishna will always help us, and he will help us to advance in spiritual life, and whatever we need, he will supply. So and also in the age of Kali, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very, very merciful, even more merciful than Krishna. So Krishna is sometimes also saying, you surrender to me and then I will reward you. But Mahaprabhu is saying, you just chant holy names and then slowly but surely you can surrender. So because to surrender is not so easy. So but to chant holy names that anyone can do, and by the process of chanting, then slowly the consciousness is purified, and then we can surrender. So therefore we should take shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by chanting the holy names, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And then all your desires will be fulfilled, and You can get some Mahaprasad now also. Hare Krishna. Grant Srimad Bhagavad-gītā ki, Śrīla Prabhupada ki.